It's 6:14 a.m. on November 12th. Over the southern Caribbean, a US patrol aircraft glides through clear blue sky with nothing unusual on the radar. Then, without warning, a sharp tone explodes inside the headsets. The crew snaps their heads toward the screen as a new signal flashes bright across the display. No one expected anything here. No one is supposed to be tracking them this far from the Venezuelan coast. From the cockpit, the view looks calm, almost peaceful. But inside the aircraft, every second feels heavier. Someone in the back whispers that the signal is clean and strong, the kind that only comes from upgraded equipment. The pilot steadies the controls while the room goes quiet, except for the long tone that will not stop. They all know this moment is different. A line has been crossed, and they have only seconds to decide how to respond. For most people watching from home, a quick radar alert over the Caribbean might sound like a small event. But for the crew in the air and the officials in Washington, what happened on November 12 is much bigger than a simple signal. It is the result of years of rising pressure, shifting alliances, and a new balance of power forming close to American shores. Venezuela has spent the last decade under heavy US sanctions. Those sanctions hit its oil industry, which provides more than 90% of the country's foreign income. As production dropped and the economy fell apart, shortages grew everywhere. Fuel, medicine, basic supplies. To survive, the government in Caracas turned toward the only partners willing to help: Russia, Iran, and China. What began as economic support slowly expanded into technology, energy systems, and limited military cooperation. At the same time, Russia watched NATO move closer to its borders in Europe, placing defense systems in areas Moscow considers sensitive. For Russia, helping Venezuela became a way to push back, not with troops, but with technical support in a region the US has dominated for generations. If Venezuela gains stronger surveillance, better radar, or more stable communications, it changes how far American forces can operate without being watched. For the US, this region is more than a map. It is the airspace and the waters where American patrols move every day. It is where trade routes run, where disaster response teams fly, and where the military keeps a close watch for smuggling and foreign interference. When another nation gains new capability here, especially with help from a major power, it forces the US to adapt fast. This is why the signal on November 12 matters. It shows that someone has upgraded a system that was once old and limited. It means the US can no longer assume clear skies near Venezuela. And it raises a bigger question in every command center. How far has this new partnership grown, and what comes next? The moment the warning tone locks in, the aircraft commander reacts fast. His voice stays steady, but everyone can feel the pressure. "Confirm the source," he says. A technician leans closer to her screen, tracking the signal as it grows stronger. The pulse is clean and steady, nothing like the older systems the crew has seen before. "It's coming from inland," she says, "same direction as the site we flagged last month." That line makes the whole cabin tense. For weeks, intelligence hinted at new equipment and foreign help in Venezuela. But this is the first time any of it has reached out and touched a US patrol. The pilot shifts the aircraft a few degrees north. "Keep it smooth, no sharp moves." Everyone understands why. One wrong turn can look like panic or provocation. In a place this sensitive, even a small misunderstanding can set off something bigger. Another operator calls out, "Signal is steady, and it's following us." Someone whispers. They're not guessing. They see us clearly. HQ joins the line. "Maintain defensive posture. Do not escalate." The pilot lowers altitude slightly, keeping the motion predictable. The tone continues, steady as a metronome. "What are they looking for?" one operator asks. "Reaction time," the technician replies. "They're studying how we move." The commander absorbs that. This isn't random, it's a controlled test. Someone on the ground is watching every adjustment the aircraft makes. Then the technician spots something else. "I have a second band, older gear, looks Venezuelan. Dual tracking, two systems working together, old and new. That kind of sync doesn't happen without outside help." The commander stays calm. Stay on plan. Record everything. But inside, everyone knows the truth. This is no longer routine. This is the first real sign that outside powers have improved Venezuela's reach. The technician raises her voice slightly. The second band adjusted when we changed altitude. They're syncing to our moves. HQ replies quickly. Copy. Treat this as coordinated behavior. Hold course. The aircraft continues north. Outside, the ocean looks normal, almost peaceful. But inside, the tension presses down like weight. The signal tracks them without pause, as if someone is testing how close they can push without crossing the line. For the crew, the message is clear. A new capability is active in the region, and they were the first to feel it. If you believe this was a deliberate pressure test, press 1. If you think it was a full attempt to map us reactions, press 9 and subscribe for the next update. The aircraft keeps its slow turn north, trying to open more distance from the Venezuelan coast, but the signal stays with them. It doesn't fade or weaken. It tracks every small movement, steady and controlled, as if someone on the ground wants them to know they're being watched. The commander studies the screen. He has seen uncertain radar before. This is not that. This is precise. The operator calls out, signal strength rising. Still not a lock, but close. Close is enough to tighten every muscle in the cabin. HQ sends a short message. Maintain course. No sudden turns. Everyone understands the reason. A sharp move can look like fear. Fear can look like a threat. The cabin falls quiet for a moment. One crew member says, it's matching every angle. He's right. Each adjustment from the aircraft is mirrored seconds later by the tracking beam. The technician checks her console. Second band active, older system, both are syncing. The commander nods slightly. Someone's teaching them. This is coordinated. The tracking pulse peaks again. Another gain bump, the operator reports. The commander answers calmly. Stay predictable, no surprises. Outside, the sky is calm, but inside the aircraft, every second feels heavier. When the pilot lowers altitude a little, the pulse follows again. Someone is pushing the system to find its limits. A junior operator whispers, they're studying us. HQ responds fast. Document everything. Maintain posture. The technician lifts her eyes from the screen. They aren't backing off. They want this to be noticed. The commander keeps his gaze forward. Good. Then we're noticing. Everyone understands what he means. This moment isn't about danger. It's about capability. A system that used to be weak now tracks a US patrol with accuracy no one expected in this region. And behind that upgrade is a foreign partner with its own plans. The aircraft continues north. The pulse stays steady. No one knows when it will fade, but every person on board knows this will be reviewed the moment they land. It's no longer a theory. It's real. If you think this tracking was a direct message aimed at the US, press 1. If you believe it marks the start of a serious shift in the region, press 9 and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Just when the crew starts to think the situation has settled into a steady pattern, one strong signal and one older band working together, a new element breaks through. The technician at the center console leans forward suddenly. I'm picking up a reflection spike, she says. Short, very short. The commander turns his head. Is it another band? No, she answers. It's something hidden inside the main signal, like a small sweep tucked under the bigger one. That changes everything. Venezuela has never used techniques like this. Reflection spikes this clean come from nations with real electronic warfare experience. The operator explains in simple terms. It's like they sent a quick probe to see how fast we'd notice. The crew exchanges looks. Someone whispers, they're not just tracking us, they're testing us. HQ responds almost immediately after the report goes through. Describe the pattern. Do not change course. The technician keeps scanning. It lasted less than a second, but it was intentional. Someone wanted that to be seen. The commander knows what this means. This is not Venezuela acting alone. This is someone else. Someone with far more advanced knowledge using Venezuelan ground to run a controlled test on a US aircraft. Then, as quickly as it appeared, the reflection spike disappears. No lingering trace, no leftover noise. It is wiped clean, almost too clean, like a move made by someone who has done this many times before. The commander speaks quietly. They're mapping our reactions, step by step. The operator nods. Whoever is behind this knows exactly what they're doing. HQ sends one more message. Continue non-escalatory route. Record all data. The crew understands the real twist. The threat today isn't a missile or a lock. It's knowledge. Someone is gathering information on how the US responds in the Caribbean, and they are using Venezuela's systems to do it. That means this test won't be the last. The aircraft holds its course north, but everyone on board knows they've reached the peak of the encounter. The main signal strengthens again, steady and controlled, almost like the operator on the ground is ready for the next step. The beam tightens on the screen, not into a full lock, but close enough for the cockpit alarm to flash a soft warning. The co-pilot moves his hand toward the countermeasure panel. The commander stops him quietly. Not yet. They're testing us. The beam holds steady. The message is clear. Someone is watching every second. The operator calls out, pulse shift, range adjustment. The technician adds, tracking our altitude too. This is manual control. The room goes silent. The engines hum, and no one moves. HQ comes through. Maintain course. Do not escalate. Everyone understands. Showing panic gives away data the US cannot afford to lose. But the beam continues to mirror them. The pilot raises altitude a little. 1 second later, the signal rises too. The technician shakes her head. They're synced to us. Every move. Then, the warning alarm jumps to a brighter alert as the beam tightens sharply. Not a lock, but nearly there. The co-pilot whispers, "One more level." The commander cuts him off. If they wanted that, they'd have done it. 3 long seconds pass. No one talks. The aircraft feels suspended between calm and danger. Then the beam softens. The strength drops back to normal, like someone flipped a switch and ended the test. The co-pilot exhales. That was intentional. Yes, the commander says. They just wanted to see how far we'd go. This is the real climax. A controlled near lock from a system that was never supposed to reach this level. A foreign-backed upgrade on Venezuelan soil pushing right up to the edge, then stepping back with confidence. The commander radios HQ. Event logged. Returning to base. As the aircraft turns away, the cabin stays quiet. Everyone knows this encounter wasn't random. It was a message and the first serious trial of a new capability in the region. If you think this near lock was a clear warning aimed at the US, press 1. If you believe this was only the first big test of a new threat in the Caribbean, press 9 and subscribe for the final part. When the aircraft finally lands, the tension doesn't fade with the engine noise. The crew hands their recordings directly to the analysts waiting on the runway. No one needs a briefing to understand what happened. The logs show a system that once had limited reach, now tracking a US patrol with accuracy far beyond anything Venezuela operated before. And that kind of jump never comes from local upgrades alone. Inside the command center, the data is reviewed frame by frame. The range extension, the dual band sync, the hidden probe, the near lock, each detail paints a picture that is hard to ignore. Someone outside Venezuela is shaping these systems, training the operators, and running tests on American aircraft in real time. The question isn't whether foreign help is involved, it's how deep that help goes. For Washington, the meaning is direct. A new radar capability in the Caribbean affects flight paths, patrol routes, and how far American forces can move without being tracked. Even without missiles, even without a single shot fired, this kind of upgrade changes the balance of awareness. It forces the US to adjust faster than expected. For the intelligence community, the event raises new concerns. If the radar can be improved this much, what else can follow? Communications, surveillance tools, early warning sensors. A country under sanctions often turns to partners willing to fill the gaps, and those partners rarely stop at one system. For the crew who lived it, the moment is simpler. They felt a foreign hand inside a local system. a controlled test. A quiet show of strength meant not to provoke a fight, but to deliver a message. We can see you and we're learning you. The recordings move through agencies quickly. Some see it as a warning. Others see it as the first step toward a new strategic challenge in the region. But everyone agrees on one point. November 12 will not be the last time a US aircraft flies into someone else's test zone. This wasn't a random tracking. It wasn't an accident. It was a signal of a changing hemisphere, one where new players are gaining ground right next to American routes.